So we're in Ruth 4.
Boaz went to the town gate and took a seat there. Just then the family redeemer he had mentioned came by. So Boaz called out to him, "Come over here and sit down, friend. I want to talk to you." So they sat down together. Then Boaz called 10 leaders from the town and asked them to sit as witnesses. And Boaz said to the family redeemer, "You know Naomi, who came back from Moab? She is selling the land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should speak to you about it so that you can redeem it if you wish. If you want the land, then buy it here in the presence of these witnesses. But if you don't want it, let me know right away, because I am next in line to redeem it after you." The man replied, "All right, I'll redeem it." Then Boaz told him, "Of course, your purchase of the land from Naomi also requires that you marry Ruth, the Moabite widow. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land in the family." "Then I can't redeem it," the family redeemer replied, "because this might endanger my own estate. You redeem the land. I cannot do it." Now in those days it was the custom in Israel for anyone transferring a right of purchase to remove his sandal and hand it to the other party. This publicly validated the transaction. So the other family redeemer drew off his sandal as he said to Boaz, "You buy the land." Then Boaz said to the elders and to the crowd standing around, "You are witnesses that today I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon. And with the land I have acquired Ruth, the Moabite widow of Mahlon, to be my wife. This way she can have a son to carry on the family name of her dead husband and to inherit the family property here in his hometown. You are all witnesses today." Then the elders and all the people standing in the gate replied, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make this woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, from whom all the nation of Israel descended. May you prosper in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. And may the Lord give you descendants by this young woman who will be like those of our ancestor Perez, the son of Tamar in Judah." The descendants of Boaz. So Boaz took Ruth into his home, and she became his wife. When he slept with her, the Lord enabled her to become pregnant, and she gave birth to a son. Then the women of the town said to Naomi, "Praise the Lord, who has now provided a redeemer for your family. May this child be famous in Israel. May he restore your youth and care for you in your old age. For he is the son of your daughter-in-law who loves you and has been better to you than 7 sons." Naomi took the baby and cuddled him to her breast, and she cared for him as if he were her own. The neighbor women said, "Now at last Naomi has a son again." And they named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse and the grandfather of David. This is the genealogical record of their ancestor Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Amminadab. Amminadab was the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Salmon. Salmon was the father of Boaz. Boaz was the father of Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David.
Go back. So chapter 4, verse 9, verse 10. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, "You are witnesses that this day that I have fought, that I have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech, and all that belonged to Chilion and Mahlon. Also Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, I have brought to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his native place. You are witnesses to this day." Context in these verses, Boaz announces his intention to redeem the property of Elimelech and to marry Ruth, thus securing their family's future and preserving their lineage. Boaz's acts of redemption and marriage highlights the themes of restoration, loyalty, and fulfilling familial obligations. Practically, we can apply this lesson by recognizing the importance of honoring our commitments and responsibilities to our family and loved ones. It encourages us to prioritize the well-being and legacy of our family, seeking ways to support, protect, and provide for them. Additionally, it reminds us of the redemption power of love and the potential for new beginnings, even in the midst of difficult circumstances. Says Ruth chapter 4, verse 14 and verse 15. Then the woman said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, have given birth to him." In this verse, the woman rejoiced with Naomi, recognizing the faithfulness of God and the blessing of her Redeemer, who will bring restoration and provision to her life. This rants of the woman emphasizes the significance of God's faithfulness and the blessings that come through his provision. Practically, we can apply this lesson by cultivating gratitude and praise for the ways in which God works in our lives, bringing restoration and provision. It encourages us to trust in God's faithfulness and to celebrate the blessings that come our way, even if they may be unexpected or different from what we intentionally envisioned. We can also learn from the example of Ruth's devotion and love towards Naomi, recognizing the importance of deep and selfish love relationships in our lives. Ruth chapter 4, verse 22. Obed fathered Jesse and Jesse fathered David. In context in this verse, the genealogy of David is mentioned, tracing his lineage back to Obed, the son of Ruth, and Boaz. This verse highlights the significance of Ruth's story and her inclusion in the lineage of King David. Practically, we can apply this lesson by acknowledging the impact that our own stories and actions can have on future generations. It reminds us that our choices and faithfulness to God can have far-reaching consequences that we may not fully comprehend. We can strive to live lives that leave a positive legacy for those who come after us, seeking to honor God and making a difference in the world. In summary, Ruth chapter 4 teaches us about the importance of fulfilling family responsibilities, recognizing God's provision and faithfulness, and the potential for our actions to have a lasting impact. It encourages us to prioritize the well-being of our loved ones, to trust in God's redemptive power, and to live lives that leave a positive legacy for future generations. Indeed, the story of Ruth does remind us of Jesus as the ultimate redeemer and restorer, just as Boaz redeemed Ruth and provided for her. Jesus Christ, through his sacrificial death and resurrection, offers redemption and restoration to all who believe in him. In the book of Ruth, we see the parallels between Boaz and Jesus as redeemers. Boaz, as a close relative and redeemer, had the legal right and willingness to redeem Ruth and secure her future. Similarly, Jesus, as our kinsman redeemer, became human and willingly sacrificed himself to redeem us from the bondage of sin and offer us eternal life. The story of Ruth also reflects the theme of restoration. Ruth, a foreigner and a widow, found favor with Boaz and has brought into a new family and a place of honor. In the same way, through faith in Jesus Christ, we are adopted into God's family, reconciled with him, and given a new identity as his children. Jesus restores our relationship with God and brings us into a place of eternal blessings and honor. Furthermore, just as Ruth's story illustrates God's faithfulness and provision, Jesus identifies God's unfailing love and care for his people. Through his life, death, and resurrection, Jesus demonstrates God's ultimate plan of redemption and restoration for humanity. He offers forgiveness, healing, and a renewed purpose for our lives. Inclusion in the story of Ruth foreshadows the redemption work of Jesus Christ. It reminds us of his role as the ultimate redeemer and restorer who offers forgiveness, reconciliation, and a new life to all who put their trust in him. May we always look to Jesus Christ as our source of redemption and restoration, finding hope and comfort in his unfailing love. Let's see. You're absolutely right. The story of Ruth is a beautiful example of redemption. Ruth was a Moabite born outside of God's chosen people. We too once were foreigners separated from God by our sin. But through her loyalty to Naomi and the God of Israel, Ruth found refuge, provision, and a new family. Jesus redeems us in the same way. Through his faithfulness, even to death, he brings us near to God and adopts us into his family. Ruth gleaned in the fields, gatherings and leftover grains, just enough to survive. Jesus provides far more than enough through his grace. Boaz, as Ruth's kinsman redeemer, paid the price to redeem her inheritance and protect her future. Jesus is the ultimate redeemer who paid our debt to redeem us. From hopeless foreigner to married into the line of David and an ancestor of Christ, God turned Ruth's story into something glorious, and he will do far more for us. So what a beautiful picture of God's love and kindness and faithfulness to redeem all who trust in him. Through Christ, we have also been redeemed from strangers, hearers, and God. Ruth's story gives us hope, great hope. You're completely right. A godly man will never stalk or excessively moderate a woman without her consent. True spirituality is shown through character, not control over others. Stalking removes someone's enemy and dignity. Healthy relations are built on mutual trust and respect between equals, not suspicion or a perceived right to surround another. A person's worth isn't defined by their relationship status or what another finds interesting about them. Everyone deserves basic privacy and safety. Excessive attention can actually indicate underlying issues like insecurity, lack of boundaries, or even potential future harm. It's not flattering or honorable. Wise counsel advises treating all people, regardless of gender, with compassion, fairness, and honor above any selfish desires or anxieties. Faith calls us to uplift others through service, protection, and giving them space to freely live according to their conscience before God alone. You're right to recognize stalking as a counter to biblical virtue. A person of strong character and faith shows their love for God by respecting his image in every individual without expectation. Your instincts seem tuned to righteousness. Here are some biblical qualities that define a godly man: humble and teachable spirit, recognizes his need for God and wisdom from others, and self-control and discipline. Manages his thoughts and actions, time and priorities well through God's strength. Man of prayer maintains an intimate relationship with God through consistent prayer and time in God's Word, and leads with integrity and servant heart. Prioritize God and others above ego and ambition. God's faithfully and leads by example. Protects and provides for a family. Assumes responsibility for physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of dependents as God directs. Peacemaker, wise, level-headed, and reconciling builds others up through kindness, truth, and avoiding harm. Financially responsible, manages resources with diligence, accountability, generosity, and future stage stability in mind. Encouraged yet gentle. Stands up for truth and what's right, but wins people over through grace-filled speech. And self-controlled, masters passions, manages tongue, keeps commitments, and avoids addictions. Depths. Teachable and wants to learn and grow daily in godliness, relationships, and contributing skills. Focus on others' growth too. May these scriptural standards help define and develop godly character in ourselves and among Christian men. So, Ruth chapter 4, verse 15. God brought good out of Naomi's tragedy even greater than 7 sons, indicating the wonderful gift of an abundance of heirs. Throughout her tough times, Naomi continued to trust God, and God in his time blessed her greatly. God can make something good happen even out of a hard situation. So be like Naomi and don't turn your back on God when tragedy strikes. When hard times hit, trust God instead of asking, how can God allow this to happen to me? God is with you even in the hard times. Yeah. So it's completely understandable to question God when facing difficulties or hardships. God sees the full picture that we don't, past, present, and future. His plan may involve lessons, character building, or uses for our struggles that we cannot see. As creatures, we will never fully comprehend an infinite God or why he allows what he does, but we can trust his goodness and sovereignty even when we don't understand. Satan and living in a fallen world introduce challenges, but God promises to work all things for the good for his children who love him. There is purpose. God does not cause suffering, but he can bring light from darkness for those who seek him during trials. Our faith and reliance on him deepen through tribulations. It's okay to pour out your feelings to God honestly through tears and questions. He wants an intimate relationship, not fake praise when we're hurting. Focus on who God is, loving, faithful, all-powerful, rather than what's happening right now. Find peace in his presence above circumstances. Others have faced far worse, yet maintaining faith in God's justice and future blessings. Their examples can encourage you through this season too. The most important thing is to keep bringing your struggles and seeking closeness to God while leaving judgment in his hands. And time enters may come or peace regardless. He will get you through. I'm so glad to hear that even in your hardest time of homelessness, God proved himself faithful by providing help through others. It's a beautiful picture of how God cares for his children. A few things. Just as he supplied Elijah's needs miraculously, God hears the cries of the poor and destitute. His angels' people continue that work today. When all else seems lost, God is still there as an ever-present help. His faithfulness never ends, even when we feel most vulnerable or alone. Every good gift comes from him, whether directly or through vessels he chooses. He moves on behalf of those who call on his name. Our worth isn't based on possessions or what this world offers. God sees our intrinsic value as his created ones and never abandons us. Having walked through deep valleys, you can better comfort others with the consolation you receive from God. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3-4. Always remembering his past deliverances strengthens a trust that he brought you this far will surely complete the work. I'm so grateful your testimony can now include God's faithfulness even in homelessness. May your gratitude to him, who is your truest friend, only increase each day. He deserves all praise.